Hi everybody, welcome to our Facebook Live. I'm Tammy Turner. I'm the Community Education Manager here at Hospice of the Chesapeake. And today, Amy Stapleton, who is the Manager of Bereavement Services for the Chesapeake Life Center, is here to talk about grief camp for kids and teens. So thanks for being here.
Sure,
I really
my
appreciate you
pleasure.
taking the time to chat with me about camp for kids and for teens and who are processing their grief.
Yeah.
So I wanted to jump in because I think it would be helpful to just share a story, like let's talk about one of the kids who have experienced camp and what did it do for them.
Okay.
About that.
Yeah, so our grief camp has been happening for over 30 years. So there are a lot of stories that could be shared. One that's really kind of near and dear to my heart happened last year, actually. It was with a little girl who had been coming to me for individual counseling. And in the process of our time together, she talked a lot about how she felt isolated in her grief, that she didn't know anyone else in her whole school who had lost a dad. And so, not only did she feel kind of different in that way, but she didn't even really have anyone to talk to about it. So as she was coming in and talking with me, I kept saying, I know other kids who have also had their dad die. They'll be at camp. And so it was a little bit of an incentive for her to come and meet these other kids. And when she actually got to camp, of course I couldn't share information of like who that kid was that I really wanted her to connect with, or the other child's name. But when we got to camp, I'll never forget, after about halfway through day one, they were at lunch together. And she came running up to me and she said, Miss Amy, I found her. I found my grief friends. And it was like, in that moment, she got that she wasn't alone.
Right.
She heard her story in someone else's story.
Right.
And so much of grief can lead to isolation for adults and kids. But with kids, it really gets amplified because, they don't talk about it in the same way. So they really don't maybe have friends in school or
peers
in their communities that have lost a parent. And so being able to be with other peers, other friends who've had a similar experience, just can feel so validating.
Right.
And like you're not alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. I wanted to make sure that you guys know you can always join our conversation with comments and questions. We're talking today about grief camp. We have it for kids and we have it for teens, and Amy shared a little bit about one child's story, which tons of them, I'm sure. Let's talk a little bit too about the teen experience, if you can relay somebody's experience, that kind of, because I'm sure that's different, right? It's a totally different age group, had different needs, concerns.
Yeah. Our teens, they have within the camp structure kind of their own group, which is called Phoenix.
Okay.
And this year at camp, they will be meeting off-site at Arlington Echo on that Saturday.
Okay.
And what really comes to mind with our teens is how sometimes it can feel, the older we get, like it's harder to really express emotion. Because maybe we want to just fit in with our peers. We don't want to be the one that's different, right? We don't want to be the kid that cries. We don't want to be the one that's had a parent die. And I'm thinking about these two kids, Tammy, that came last year, and actually two best friends. They both had lost different people in their life, but they kind of committed to do camp together.
Okay.
And initially they got there and there was some resistance, was camp cool enough for them?
I was just going to say camp at a teenage would be like, okay, that's not cool.
Right, was this even cool enough for them? And, they kind of were hanging around the edges, not really sure if they wanted to participate or engage. And yet what we said to them is just try, just be here, hang out with us for a little bit, just try it. And if it's not a good fit, you don't have to come back tomorrow. Nobody's forcing you to be here, but we really think that you'll get something out of this. And so that next morning, they were the first ones there. They were the first ones who showed up, and they were in it together, which is a beautiful thing in and of itself. But the fact that they were willing to try, that they kept coming back, and by the end of the camp experience, they had a whole new group of friends. And so it wasn't anymore about being cool. It was about being themselves. and like how few places really exist for teenagers especially to truly be themselves and express their grief and be vulnerable in a way that is kind of cool. It is kind of cool to be able to say to a group of people who really get it, what this feels like.
Right. Wow. I would think that's got to be a big impact just for them and, for the people that are helping them too, even
to witness that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned this briefly, but I think we want to go into a little bit more detail about how camp is different this year.
Yeah.
There's some different things. We've been doing it for 30 years, but this year there's some differences. So let's talk first about the children's camp that's going to be in June. So it's a little different time. June 21st and 22nd.
That's right. Okay. Here at our Pasadena office.
Okay.
One of the things that we changed in our camp structure this year, Tammy, is that it's no longer an overnight camp. Okay. Throughout the years, and just as the needs of our kids and teens have changed, and honestly because many of the losses that they are experiencing have become more traumatic through the years, an overnight camp just wasn't the best fit for them. We had less and less kids who wanted to stay overnight and were comfortable doing that. So we've really tried to adapt our structure to best meet the needs of these kids at this time. So what we're gonna do on Friday night, they're gonna come here, they're gonna meet their team, they're gonna decorate their space. It's all done by age group. Okay. Each age group has 2 trained facilitators, and a number of volunteers that are there to support the kids. And they're just gonna kind of do a get to know you that night.
Okay.
And then on Friday, they'll spend all day with their group. Saturday they'll spend all day with their group. And together they'll work through several different grief themes, kind of like why we're here, who we're here to honor. And they'll kind of build their toolbox, so to speak, of things that will help them kind of go back into the world. Okay. So some things that help with grief, some skills maybe, even like how do you have a conversation with people you don't know about who your family is.
Right, introducing that. Like, that's true.
So kind of getting down to some really concrete things kids can do to help themselves feel better.
Yeah, moving forward.
So we're really excited about that. We'll be incorporating a lot of art and play and outside time. I think it'll be a good time.
So that's Pasadena, and we're going to have all this information, dates, times, costs, all that kind of stuff. We'll make sure we have links to the applications. We're going to have all of that in our comment section. So just make sure to look down, but we'll mention it again. I think one of the things I wanted to talk about too is the teen grief camp, because there's been a lot of loss even just in this area in Anne Arundel County, close to Pasadena, Severna Park. Can you talk a little bit about what that's going to look like for this year?
Yeah, the teens are going to meet on Saturday only, so that's Saturday, June 22nd. They will be starting and finishing at Arlington Echo. It's a little bit of a longer day for them, and it's just teens at that location, so ages 13 to 18. Okay. They also have trained facilitators, counselors on site, as well as a team of volunteers. Their process is a lot different in that
just for that age group.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of the work themselves. One of my favorite parts of our teen camp is they do the INC course, which is kind of like an obstacle course. Okay. But they really work together and do it together.
So that's the trust build, like the trust. And,
all the balance and those sorts of activities. Okay. And it really brings the teens together and helps them lean on each other, which for that particular age group is so important. Yeah. So I think it'll be another great day for our teens.
Okay. And then really quickly, I didn't get to ask this question, but what type of teen or child might be appropriate to come to camp? Like, is it someone that's only lost a parent or a sibling, or what type of?
Yeah, good question. Really any type of loss. Typically the losses have occurred, we find most often in the last 1 to 2 years. Okay. But it could be definitely any sort of sibling loss, parent loss, grandparent, best friend or friend, aunt, uncle. We've had a variety of losses.
Okay. That just made an impact on that child and that teen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if they had any questions, we'd love to talk with them more about it and make sure that camp is a good fit if we don't know the child or teen already, but we're certainly open to people who have experienced any type of loss.
Okay. And then later on in the summer, we have the August camp in Prince George's County. Can you share a little bit about what that's going to look like?
Sure, I'm really excited about this, Tammy, because we've never had a camp that was just in Prince George's County. All of our previous camps have been in Anne Arundel County, although we've had people attend all across the state who come from different areas. But to have a camp in Prince George's County, to really make that accessible for the residents in Prince George's County, I'm really excited about. And any kid can attend if they live in a different county, but really our emphasis are the children and teens in Prince George's County. So that camp is going to be held in partnership with the College Park Aviation Museum.
So that's where it's going to be held.
It's where it's going to be, and part of our day will be spent in the aviation building alongside of the actual museum, and then part of our time will be spent in the museum, and we're gonna make rockets, we're gonna make paper airplanes, and we're gonna use this whole metaphor of flying for grief, in terms of, you know, how do you kind of gauge your own instrument level, and are you flying too high, are you flying too low, and kind of when do you need to stop and refuel. So we're going to use the whole image of flight to really help kids process their own grief and do it in a fun way.
And that's going to be Saturday, August 17th?
That's right.
Okay, awesome. And that camp is for kids ages 6
to 12.
Okay, to 12. Okay, great.
One more thing I want to note, Tammy, is that our camps are truly accessible. So there's a cost. For the one here in Anne Arundel, it's $40. For the teen camp, it's $50, and for the one in College Park, it'll be $40 as well.
Okay.
But we really don't want there to be any barriers for kids attending our camp. We have scholarships available, and we really want to make this accessible. So if you know of a kid who wants or needs this sort of experience this summer, we'd really love to have them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And like I said, we'll make sure we have the links for the application and all the dates, times, information, all those specifics that are going to be easily accessible on our Facebook page. I'm curious about the ratio of campers to counselors, and sort of if you can give me, I think it might be helpful to know a little bit about the background of who's providing the counseling.
Sure. So at the camp itself, I wouldn't call it like group therapy or group counseling per se. We do have clinically trained counselors and social workers on site at both camps, but really the leadership of our camp is provided by trained volunteers who have gone through background checks. They've gone through extensive training in grief and children, and you know, many of them have been doing this 7, 8, 9 years. So they bring a lot of experience, both professionally as well as personally, to these opportunities to work with kids in these ways. All of our volunteers we've met, we've vetted, we feel really confident about what they can offer the kids and teens.
So at each camp, just roughly how many kids are attending?
Right now we're just getting started in our registration, but ideally our camp here in Pasadena would have about 40 kids.
Okay.
Our teen camp usually has anywhere between 18 to 20 teens.
Okay.
And in College Park, because of the location, it's a smaller group, so I think ideally we would have no more than 20 kids be able to attend that camp.
All right.
Some people have asked, and it's a really good question, if you attend one camp, can you also attend another one? Yeah, you know, we want to make this accessible, and priority will be given to kids who haven't attended before.
Right.
But we really want this to be something that kids get a lot out of, and because it will be 2 different experiences, I think it's just another way to support kids in their grief.
Do siblings attend? Like,
Yeah.
Is that sometimes
Yeah.
I would think that you were saying best friends can
Yeah.
sometimes come, and yeah, I would think that would be kind of takes some of the scare factor away of coming into a situation that you're not familiar with. All right, that's awesome. I can feel your enthusiasm and excitement about camp, and it seems like it's going to be such a great experience for kids that are grieving, so, and teens that are have experienced a loss. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being here. If you guys want to share, like, have questions later, we can post those. We'll try and answer them best of our ability. And if you know somebody that this information might be helpful for, that has, a teen or a child that is grieving, please share. Thanks so much.